Okay, so this is just a quick update. In the previous video I mentioned that we took 3 lambs off a sheep which had no milk, so I'd just like to show you how they are doing now. This video has been shot a few days after that video, and we've put the lambs on our milking machine and they're romping on now. So let's just have a quick look at how they are doing. So what do we have here? Well, as you can see, they all look very fit and healthy. None of them looks cold, tired or lethargic, and that's what you want to see. We have our milking machine here, this thing, and we have some teats here and here. As you can see, they're busy sucking away on them. So how does this milking machine work? Basically, you have a reservoir of milk here, and that can be cold milk. This is like a box of hot water with some heating elements in it. Don't know if you can quite see it. I don't think you can, it's too dark, but there is like a densely coiled airline pipe, and basically the milk goes through that, goes through this hot water reservoir, heats up to body temperature, and then the lambs suck it through this non-return valve, and that's about it really. The milking machines are absolutely fantastic. We've tried 2 different ones, one called a Shepherdess, and then we upgraded to this one will actually do calves. We've had calves on it as well. We will, all our triplet sheep, we will take 1 lamb off, usually the weakest, and we'll put them on here and feed them up and then sell them as spare. In our lambing systems we've tried different ways of dealing with triplets, because as I said in one of the first videos, triplets present a problem. A sheep only has 2 teats and it has 3 lambs to feed, so at some point one of those lambs will start to starve as the 2 biggest dominate the feeding. So, and triplets also take a problem. If you start supplementing, it takes up a lot of time, and that's time you don't necessarily have in when it's really busy or it's peak lambing, as what me and Joanne call it. So some farms, ourselves included, opt to take the spare lamb off and we opt to take a lamb off the sheep and we'll put it on this milking machine, and then they fed ad lib milk. What that also means is during our lambing system we can move the sheep on faster, you know, especially what were formerly triplets, because the sheep only has 2 lambs, so them lambs are doing okay, so they can go into they can like graduate or move on to our nursery pens where we have a group of sheep. Whereas before, when they have 3 lambs, because you have troublesome lambs and one might be suffering, it's got to stay in that pen because you need to keep an eye on it and feed them, so you can't move them on. So by the end of lambing you can end up with like a barn or a building full of triplets. Some do better than others, but anyway, like I say, we've now migrated onto this system and we find it a lot better. The downside of this system is it's not perfect. It does cost a lot because the lambs drink a frightening amount of milk once they get going. But it is a lot easier because all these lambs here would have required manually feeding with the bottle, and now once they've been taught how to go onto this machine, they take care of themselves. The only thing you need to do is just make sure the milk reservoir is topped up, is in it and full. The only other hard part of this job is basically teaching them how to feed. You'll bring them in, they either can't feed on a teat straight away, or they are used to feeding on a sheep's teat. It's strange with lambs, they either get used to feeding one way or the other really. If you never teach a lamb to feed on an artificial teat, like a milk bottle teat or one of these ones, it's not a skill which can be taught to them later on. Even if they're starving, they'll choose to basically starve. Sometimes you can't get milk into them. It's a strange thing. You'd think with the lamb being so hungry that they'd want to drink regardless of what type of teat is in the mouth, but it's just not the case. Likewise, if we went and tried putting these back on a sheep now, it'd be very, very difficult because they get used to the type of teat they use the most frequently. So yeah, that's about it. Teaching them, it's not rocket science. All you do is you come in quite a few times a day, hold the lamb on the teat, put the teat in its mouth, squirt a bit of milk into it. Some lambs are far better than others to teach on these machines. The benefit is once you have a couple of lambs in it, they actually teach themselves, because like one lamb will be sucking on the teat, the next lamb, which you're trying to train, will be a bit curious, it'll be going up, nibbling at stuff. They naturally try to bite and suck on things which protrude. So they'll see another lamb sucking on this thing which is protruding out of the woodwork, and then they'll just, you know, take a bite, and then they realise it's producing warm milk, and then so they can kind of teach themselves. Out of these three, the black one was the most difficult to feed. The other two, we had them feeding within about 24 hours. We only had to probably come up and try and teach them about 6 or 7 times in one day. The black one probably took about 48 hours before it clicked. It had an idea of what to do. But now by this point, they're pretty much automated. They'll just go on themselves. They'll get up, have a feed, go over there, sleep it off, come up, get up, have a feed, go back there, sleep it off. So yeah, not a bad life really. So, but yeah, these built-in machines are absolutely brilliant. I think this is a far better way of dealing with the problem of triplets. It's expensive, but it's better. Everything seems to benefit more. Everything looks a lot healthier, and you have more flexibility, more spare time. And like I say, as we get busier, that becomes absolutely critical. So yeah, if anyone's curious about what the particular model what we use, it's a Heatwave. Like I say, they're not cheap, but we are a commercial lambing enterprise. You know, if you're a small town farmer, you might maybe want to opt for something like a shepherdess, which is what we've used previously. The shepherdess are good, but the downside of the shepherdess is the milk sits in a bath of warm water, so it does go off fairly quickly. Whereas with this, the milk's kept cold, and especially on a day like today where it's like -6 outside, the milk stops pretty fresh and doesn't start to smell. But as you can see, the lambs approve, the lambs love it. When you start seeing them skipping around and jumping, and that, you know, they're pretty much out of the danger zone. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe to this channel, and if you know anyone who's interested in these videos, why not send them a link. See you later.